Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast, Like You Didn't Know. I know it's been a couple months since I've recorded, but I'm trying to get back into it and have some special guests and kind of get it back up and running again. I know some people actually do like listening to me ramble on about different things, so I'm trying to make myself get back into the swing of things. Hope you enjoy. This week's scary movie of the week is fairly new. It's a spin-off, second coming, whatever you want to call it, a second reiteration of a movie that came out a couple of years ago, called Evil Dead. Many years ago, actually. I think it came out like when I was in college or not long after, but they finally came out with a sequel, and it's Evil Dead Rise. So basically, like, the premise of the original Evil Dead was these college students, young 20-year-old people, found a book of the dead that tells you, unbeknownst to them, it actually tells you, or it has spells in it to bring Evil Dead rising, basically. So in the first one, they kind of accidentally stumble across it, read it, of course. Some idiot reads it, because why not? If it's made of human skin and wrapped in barbed wire, I definitely should open it. So he opened it and was reading it, and one of the girls that came with them, it was a group of friends, they actually all went to a cabin, or a former cabin that they used to go to often. A brother and sister used to go to often, and they went to the cabin because the girl had issues with drug abuse or whatever. But anyway, so that one, pretty much everybody ended up dying, I think, except one person. So the new one follows like a family. It's a mom and her two kids, and 2 or 3 kids. I think it's 3 kids, actually. 2 girls and a boy. And they stumble across the book that's been thrown in some hole in their parking garage or something, and it's unearthed by an earthquake. And they stumble across it, and a little boy who's into like weird things anyway, he decides he's gonna read it, of course. And so, unbeknownst to him, he's reading it, and his mom gets possessed and starts attacking them and all that stuff. It's very graphic, I will say that. It's pretty dark, but if you like scary movies and you like graphic scary movies and moms killing their kids and scaring their kids and little girls being dumb, it's got something for everybody. People trying to save the day, neighbors trying to help each other. It's got a little bit of everything. This week's ridiculous lawsuit was one that came about in Michigan in 2008. This Michigan woman was late on her payments. So as you all know, if you don't pay for your car, they will come and repossess it. So apparently her car got repossessed, and she felt some type of way because they took the gas that was in her car. And her rationale behind it was that the gas was her personal property because she paid for it. It says the case is still open. I'm not going to research, and I didn't research and see if it still was. But I mean, I would hope after however many years it's no longer open. But it seems like she may actually end up getting the $30, but I mean, she probably paid more than that for the lawsuit, and she's suing for $5 million. Or she was suing for $5 million. I don't know why she thought she was going to get $5 million for $30 worth of gas, but whatever. I mean, if you can't pay for your car, just count the gas as a loss, in my opinion. So apparently in North Korea, they counted ages a little differently, which was interesting to me because I just assumed everybody counted age the same. So apparently I think I said North, I meant South Korea. In South Korea, they count from, I guess, conception to birth as 1. And then when you're born, you would turn 2 the next birthday. Which is kind of interesting because it kind of does make sense. And of course, as with most things, it doesn't make sense why America, for one, and other countries have not adopted that mentality. But apparently South Korea has decided, we're going to change that. So apparently, since they decided to change that due to their campaigns to make people retire at different ages or whatever, people are now going back to the way everybody counts ages, which is birth is nothing, 0 basically, and then your first birthday you turn 1. So I guess they are attempting to retire that method and standardize international ages because, I guess I don't see why it really makes a difference. Well, actually I do, because if you put your birth year in any other country, especially, I'm going to say United States because I don't know what other countries do, but the United States, it makes sense because, if you put 1988 in America, you would be 34. But in South Korea, you would be turning 34 this year instead of turning 35 next year, which is kind of interesting. But the president has described standardizing the international ages as a key goal of his government. It's funny that they think that that's something that needs to be addressed by the government. Like, if y'all have been doing it that way forever, who cares? If you 34, 35, 29, 28, 27, what is 1 year really gonna make that much difference? Other than, I guess, if you're trying to retire at a certain age. So again, I could see why they might want to have that changed. But of course it's not really going to change like public services or anything like that, because apparently that was already based on international ages. So I guess a lot of people are going to be, some people will probably be happy, but kids, of course, I could see them being like, oh, well, I want to be 5 again. I just turned 5. But one resident said that she's 49. So I guess technically she would have been 50. So because of that change, she got to be 49 again. So now she doesn't have to say she's in her 50s. Of course, biologically, it doesn't make you younger. Age is nothing but a construct anyway. Like, really, I feel like you're only as old or as young as you feel. But so one person, he actually is going from 61 to 63, or from 63 to 61, which I guess his birthday must fall like on the end of a year or something, or maybe, I don't even know if they do leap years over there, but some kind of way, yeah, it ends up making people a year or two older than what they actually are, even though I guess technically I would still say once you're conceived, the clock starts, because that's when your body can essentially deteriorate. Once you become a baby, your body can deteriorate. So it makes sense to have that type of rationale. But I'm sure there are a lot of South Koreans that are happy to be more aligned with everybody else, because of course, who wants to be the odd man out? Even though, the United States has been the odd man out in a lot of stuff. The fact that we don't use the metric system, the fact that we don't use we use miles instead of kilometers. It's like a lot of different things that the United States does differently from other countries, which also doesn't surprise me because, of course, the United States wants to be different than everybody else. But I just thought that was interesting, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. If you like my podcast, you can find it on Spotify. I think it's still called Spotify. But eventually I'll maybe try to see about putting it on another app or something so people don't have to download Spotify. But for now, that's where it is. We're going to see how often I record or what days I record. I'm going to try to do at least once a week, but it may not be consistent right now. It just depends on when I come across topics or things that are interesting. I find that it's a lot better and the stuff is more interesting when I just stumble across it versus me actually going out and searching for it. So we'll see. But I plan on having a special guest again within maybe a couple weeks. But anyway, so stay tuned.